Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things Usmnt y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian, joining me is my co-host Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, how's it going, dude? Middle of the week, gearing up for another fantabulous weekend of Liga MX before the Fecha FIFA comes back. But yeah, not too bad.
Yes, be sure to check out our series, Liga MX weekly recaps, now in Espanol, for those of you who haven't checked it out, where we recap weekly matches and the table and current standings of Liga MX. But this video is about the USMNT, specifically the first roster drop from Mauricio Pochettino, the first 25 players that he has called up. Before we really give our reactions to it, Adrian, why don't you go through the list for us?
All right, let's do it. So goalkeepers, we have four: Ethan Horvath from Cardiff City, Patrick Schulte from Columbus Crew, Zach Steffen, an old fellow from Colorado Rapids, Matt Turner from Crystal Palace. Defenders, we have Marlon Fossey from Standard Liège, Christopher Lund from Palermo, Mark McKenzie from Toulouse, Tim Ream from Charlotte FC, Anthony Robinson, Fulham, Miles Robinson, FC Cincinnati, Joe Scally, Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Austin Trusty from Celtic in Scotland. Midfielders, we have Brandon Aronson from Leeds United, Gianluca Busio from Venezia, Johnny Cardoso from Real Betis, Weston McKennie, Juventus, Aidan Morris from Middlesbrough, Yunus Musa from AC Milan, Malik Tillman from PSV Eindhoven. And then we have forwards, Folarin Balogun, the gun, from Monaco, Ricardo Pepi from PSV Eindhoven, Christian Pulisic, AC Milano, Josh Sargent, Norwich City, Timothy Weah from Juventus, and Haji, there to Hajiwright from Coventry City.
Yeah, so I think for right off the bat, a roster that many predicted, a roster that, we didn't think Pochettino was going to make huge changes right away, just because, to start off with, these are the best the USMNT has. What changes can you make? Initially, since the Copa America concluded, there hasn't really been any standout performer that wasn't included in that Copa America roster that really deserves a call up, right? So, interesting to see Zach Steffen back. He's one of four MLS players back on this roster. The other being Patrick Schulte, Miles Robinson, and Tim Ream. And Marlon Fossey, who I think did well in his last window, was one of the few bright spots, gets a call back up. And Mark McKenzie, who we've been a fan of and saying he should probably get a chance to replace aging out Tim Ream, is called back in. But there definitely is some missing players, right? We don't see Dest still injured, Adams, Gio Reyna, and Chris Richards. Right? Who are kind of the big four that are out, and which is probably why we're seeing Miles Robinson getting called up, or Austin Trusty, right? But man, interestingly enough, Adrian, this pool of players, I think Pochettino came out and said that they're going to try playing a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-3-3, really focus on those two. He said, and I quote, from those formations, we'll develop our way to play and see how we can adapt and how we can create a partnership in between them, between the players and between the systems. What are your thoughts on this roster? Was there anybody that stood out for you?
Yeah, the biggest one that stood out for me, it has to be Gianluca Busio. And I know that we've seen Gianluca Busio before. I don't know if it was before Triple G second term or during Triple G second term.
During the Gold Cup.
Yeah, exactly. So he was part of that B squad, right? If I'm not mistaken. And I think that he has earned a chance to be featured here with the USMNT on the A team, shall we call it right now. I don't pretend that I follow Venezia every single weekend, but every now and then I'll see him having good performances at Serie A. Now, take this with a grain of salt, because I think Venezia is right now, if not one of the four worst teams right now in Serie A, if I'm not mistaken. They're at the bottom of the table. Nonetheless, almost always I read that Gianluca Busio is the standout player for Venezia on every single match, even though they're not having a winning streak anytime soon. But I think he has won a chance to prove that he deserves to be called up as part of the A team. He continues to get serious game time at Venezia, playing almost every single match, almost all 90 minutes. So that's the first one. And the second one that I think also caught my attention, and not because of, I don't think he deserves to be here. I think quite opposite. I think it's nice to see him that he's going to get a chance. Austin Trusty, who I know, and I've been reading recently that he's getting a lot of love from the Celtic fan base in Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, to your first point, yeah, I agree with you. I think the big addition is what's his name, Busio, right? And yeah, he's been playing great. 6 matches so far in Serie A. We know that they came up in SCA from Serie B last season, and he's adapted very well and definitely deserves a call up here. and Austin Trusty, who many people thought would go down the list, down the pecking order, because obviously the Celtic, that league isn't the best, right? He's obviously the best team in that league, but there isn't as much competition as where he was at before. But yeah, he's like Busio. He's been one of the standout players so far this season for Celtic, and definitely deserves a call up. Um, I think an interesting one again also as well. It's the goalkeeper situation. We see Zach Steffen, who lost his starting spot before the World Cup to Matt Turner, come back in now at Colorado Rapids. Zach Steffen, and this is a position where Pochettino's probably going to have the biggest headache, in a position where he said specifically, I mean, not specifically to this position, but to everybody in the U.S. pool, he said, if you're not playing, that's going to be detrimental to your U.S. future. So that was kind of, people are thinking that as a shot against Turner, right? Because he is not playing, and a lot of these goalkeepers. So maybe that's why we're seeing Schulte and Steffen who get minutes in MLS versus Matt Turner and Ethan Horvath, who don't get minutes, right? So another interesting one, maybe the biggest answer that or the biggest question, sorry, that Pochettino's gonna have to answer in the short term. And obviously we could talk about Christian Pulisic, the hot streak he's on. We knew he was going to be on this roster. Poland Balogun, who's kind of starting to play better here with Monaco's find his footing finally. And Aiden Morris has been a standout for Middlesbrough. I think it's a solid lineup, solid squad. And these players are going to be really fancying their chances to make an impression on the new coach, especially against rivals Mexico.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game for them. I think it's actually a big splash for Pochettino to have his first match against Mexico, the biggest rival that the Usmnt currently has or has ever had in their entire soccer history. So it will be nice to see how he lines up, right? Another question that I think he'll have to answer quickly, and this is something that we saw also Triple G and our boy Tony Hudson and whatnot. The struggle with was not only who's actually the best keeper or the best goalkeeper in shape, but also who's gonna be the number 9. I think that's another big question that Pochettino has to give an answer super quickly. Like I don't think he has any time to waste to make sure that he finds that number 9 that will make his team as lethal as possible, or at least provide a good outlet for the wingers and the central attacking midfielders to join on either counter offensives or on the link-up plays from a defensive to offensive transition.
Yeah, and I think starting off the Pochettino era, the money can be placed on Poland Balogun being the starter, at least right now. Until we saw Pepe score 2 over the weekend. We see Hajiwright; he started really well this season. There definitely is competition, but I think for now, at least, it's Balogun's to lose.
Don't rule out my boy Joe Sargent, dude. I know that I'm a fan of him, but he might not be scoring, but he's been assisting.
Man, it's just every time we hype him up, bro, he gets injured. So
you're right.
It's better to keep quiet on him.
That is true.
But nah, man, make sure PPG Nation to keep it here with PPG as we get closer to these friendlies in October. October 12th, USA takes on Panama in Austin, and the 15th, USA travels to Guadalajara to play Mexico in Estadio Akron at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time there. So keep it here as we do our preview episodes for those, and sticking here with PPG to get our reactions to the Mexico squad as well. At the end, let's wrap up this episode, brother. Where can listeners find us?
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Instagram and TikTok. We post memes, latest news, and shorts of our episodes.
Yes, be sure to follow us. If you prefer social media platform of choice, leave us a like in the YouTube video. It really helps us out. And let us know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this roster? Were there any surprises for you? Were there any surprise omissions for you? Are you excited for this new Pochettino era to finally kick off? I know the NI and I are excited to see this match, especially see the Mexico match in Estadio Akron. That's going to be a very interesting match. Finally, USA playing away. So we'll see how that happens. Yeah, man. Good episode. See you next one.
Take it easy.
See ya.
Deuce.